What is the most competitive division in the footballing world? Is it La Liga, the Premier League, Serie A, Liga, or the Bundesliga? What division has had the most teams winning it and the most really good teams in the division? That's the question I'll be answering. But before we continue with the video, if you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 70 subscribers before the end of term, which is around a week and a half away, so yeah, hit the subscribe button. For a long time, I thought that the Premier League is the most competitive division in the world, as it's had the most winners and just generally some of the best teams. But then again, I'm British and I've always supported that division. However, this season it's been very uncompetitive and been closer to a ball fest than anything else, with Man City cruising 17 points clear of any other team in the league. Well, La Liga could have been seen as the most competitive this season. Atletico have been dropping points here and there, Barca and Real Madrid are catching, and it's starting to come like a real title race. But sadly, long term, really, it's only two teams who win the division year after year after year, being Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's a similar story in Germany, with Bayern Munich having won the league for ages. The last manager to stop Bayern Munich winning the league was Klopp, but that was 9 years ago. A lot argue that Serie A is the most competitive division, and it's had some amazing Milan derbies this year. But even in this division, at this part of the season, is not that competitive. Inter Milan have a 6-point lead at the top of that division. Are they going to lose it realistically? I doubt it. There are other reasons why I think it could be Serie A as the most competitive division, as they've got some like 8 or 9 massive teams in there, including all the Rome teams, all the Milan teams, and Juventus. It's a crazy division. The only other division is League A, which in any other season I would have thrown in the drain straight away, but this year they're not winning the league, which makes it quite competitive. There's only a 2-point gap. Can Lille hold on? I don't know if they can, but even so, it is an exciting division this year. However, can it really get into contention comparing every other year? It is literally just the PSG show. I don't know. Okay, so let's look at a few numbers and point gaps between first and seconds, and let's begin with the obvious one, which does absolutely appalling. The Premier League, though does well in, loads of clubs have won it, really historic and stuff, the issue that there's 17 points between first and seconds really does take the edge off our league this year. But that doesn't mean that it isn't in contention for the most competitive division anyway, with this year being an off year. But really, that just isn't true. For the last few years, there's easily been either 20 points gaps between first and second, or 20 points gaps between second and third. So really, our division hasn't been that competitive for 3 or 4 years, especially as only 2 teams have won it in the last 4 years. Not that any division actually does better than that. In Italy, Juventus went on 9 wins on the bounce and then decided to throw it away only a few weeks ago. Bayern Munich are also going on 9 straight wins. PSG, if they can get back to the title, will be on some ridiculous run. And La Liga is the only division where teams can't get on these ridiculous run because there's actual 2 good teams in the league. So really, even though it does seem bad, it's actually quite good when you put it in the scale of all the other teams in the division. So let's move on to Serie A. As I've said, lots of big teams in it, but only one's actually been able to win it, so how big are they? But moving on to that later, what I want to talk about now is that they have the second biggest gap between the second, which doesn't really help their chances of being seen as the most competitive division. For a long time, that wasn't a 6-point gap, and we have no idea if they can hold on to the title. Like, as someone who would be a fan of Serie A, I think it's still a good season, a season which has got a lot of potential in it still. We then have the Bundesliga and Liga, and even though in Liga it's not the normal winner who has the 2-point gap, in both divisions there is the small 2-point gap, which does make quite an exciting division. If Bayern Munich at any point slip up, RB Leipzig could run in behind and take that title, and similarly in Liga. So 2 points is a great gap. It makes still an exciting title race, but if that becomes more, it very quickly becomes something like we've got where it's really no question about it. Finally, La Liga, which though it has the third biggest gap at a 3-point gap, I really think this could be the closest division. Atletico Madrid yesterday took a draw, which if Barca play and win their game, then they could go, I think, in 0 points. There could be literally no gap, and it could become the most exciting division in like a week or two. So though at this point in time it isn't, and it should be third on my list, I really do see this as this season the title race you should be looking. What I have just outlined is that really not many divisions are competitive. In like 3 of the 5 biggest divisions, there's one side which lifts the trophy year in, year out. In La Liga, only 2 teams lift it, and in the Premier League is the only division where the big 6 could win it. But realistically, I only see 3 teams winning it in the next few seasons. So how competitive are our divisions, and why have they become so uncompetitive? Most of the solutions to stop these kind of things happen should either happen years ago, because if suddenly now the Premier League just put a salary cap on and tried to put all the divisions together on something like Southampton's wage cap, then obviously all the big players like Fernandes, De Bruyne, Sterling, Rashford would all leave, and you know, it would ruin our division. So no division now can put like salary caps on or increase financial fair play, just because it won't help any of these teams. But even if financial fair play was put in, let's say in the 1980s, and a salary cap was put in, I don't know a division where there's more than 10 teams who have the possibility to win it. Like, not even in League 1 or League 2 or the National League is there 10 teams who could possibly think that they can win it. Is it possible to even make that happen? In my personal opinion, I don't think so. I just don't think it's possible. Anyway, let's get back to the question of what division is actually the most competitive. And is there one? Now, this is where it gets a bit personal. I've given you the stats, I've given you all the things, and some people will now say the Premier League, or La Liga, or Bundesliga, or Liga, or Serie A. And whatever you think, it's probably not wrong, because this is where, you know, it's all about your personal opinion. And now, I only watch the Premier League, I only really care about it, but that is probably because I'm British, and I'd love to hear, if you are from one of the other countries, what do you think? So what do I think? I really don't think I could give it to Liga or the Bundesliga, because those 2 divisions are normally as dull as dishwasher. But I guess maybe if they start to get interesting, if Lille win the title, then maybe my decision would change. But what I need to see, Bayern Munich not winning the title every single year, and PSG not being able to lift the title next season or something like that. But currently, they're on my no list. I really love to put the Premier League on the yes list, and they're definitely not far from the yes list. But a 17-point gap and only 3 or 4 teams winning it, is that enough? Maybe. So that leaves the Liga and Serie A. And even though both the divisions aren't greatly competitive, I think they're the front runners for being the most competitive. La Liga, it's got 2 big teams. Both of them fight out every season, and sometimes Atletico Madrid join them in that one. They've got some other good teams who are pretty big and pretty exciting. David Silva was interested by Real Sociedad, so he moved there. It's not a boring division. You know, it's got some interesting stuff to it. Serie A has got 8 big teams, and even though Juventus won it for the last 9 years, finally, they're starting to stop winning the league, and I think they've looked dodgy for a couple of years. But I think I'd go La Liga, just generally because it's probably got the most excitement year in, year out, and they do better in like the Champions League and Europa League, so the actual teams are better. You know, I feel like all the teams are worse, but that doesn't mean it's not competitive. Some would say it's the most competitive because they're all very similar standards. So that is my opinion on what is the most competitive division in the world. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Like, only 5% of you do, so thank you if you are one of the people who make it to the end of the video. It does mean so much to me. If you have made it to here, as I've said, I'm trying to hit 70 subscribers. Could hit the subscribe button. It helps the YouTube algorithm so more people see this video. Yeah, so hit the subscribe button, like the video as well. Have a lovely week, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.